Beyond the Bell, Bloomberg's comprehensive cross-platform coverage of the U.S. market close starts right now.
And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Scarlet Fu. We're counting you down to the closing bell, and here to help take us beyond the bell, it's a global simulcast. We're joined by Madison Mills and Carol Massar, too. Welcome to our audiences across Bloomberg Television, Radio, Bloomberg Originals, as well as those folks streaming on YouTube. Carol, this has been an interesting day.
Yep.
We talk about a market that looks like it's going to finish in the green across the board. That was not how we started the day.
I am kind of blown away and trying to make sense of it. And I know some of this is certainly some of the analysis is coming out from Fed's Bostick that maybe he said, we're going to maybe not pivot, but maybe we pause right towards the end of the summer when it comes to rates.
Hope springs eternal.
But don't you feel like, come on, folks, they're data dependent. Just wait until the next Fed meeting. I don't know. I am not quite sure I understand any of it.
Well, also the idea that we're going to stop by the end of the summer feels like that was something that should have been predicted a little bit as well, right?
Maybe it's as simple as you had 2 days of losses, you had 3 weeks of losses before that, and it's a little bit of a rebound because dead cats bounce. Did you know that, Romaine?
Yeah, so we talk about, I am curious though here, Carol Massar. I mean, we talk about sort of what's actually leading this market.
Yeah.
And we talk about it being higher, but look at where we've been over the last few weeks. I mean, this is still a range-bound market. We really haven't gone anywhere different than where we were a few months ago. In fact, we're still pinned below 4,000 in the S&P, and even the other indices are kind of in the same situation.
You watch the technicals, which I love about you. I mean, we haven't taken out the 200-day, have we?
Yeah, I didn't quite hear the end of that because of the clapping and the cheering there, Carol Massar. You know that happens every day at this time, don't you?
I do.
But whatever the question you asked, I will get back to it in a second. We're up pretty much across the board here. The Dow Jones Industrial Average looks like it's going to close higher by more than 300 points, up about 1%. The S&P up about roughly 29 points or 30 points, up about 0.8%. The NASDAQ Composite higher by more than 80 points or 0.7%. The Russell 2000 only up about 0.2% on the day. And once again, Carol Massar,
yes,
outperformer on the day. Dow Transport's up 1.9%.
All right, I'm looking at the 200-day, right? We kissed it a little while ago.
Yes.
We bounced off of it. So as you say, these levels, I keep looking for these new levels, and I think that's some strong support, Scarlett, when it comes to the broader market.
Yeah, strong support. And you see that reflected in the industry groups. 24 industry groups, and guess what? Only 3 of them are in the red. You have utilities, software and services, a lot of those big tech names up there, household and personal products. So you've got consumer staples, you've got tech, you've got utilities. It's a pretty broad mix. And on the downside, autos and components, and that's mainly Tesla after its investor day, and banks and insurers, which have been consistently underperforming today.
That's a market that feels pretty confident right now. But as you said, Scarlett, maybe it's just after a couple of days of losses. It's like, I'm finding some bargains. I'm finding some value there. All right, so let's get to some of the individual gainers in today's session. And Salesforce, we talked about it after the close yesterday. They reported earnings, top in the S&P 500. This stock up just shy of 12% here by the close. We know they've been in the crosshairs of 5 activist investors. They rallied after giving a surprisingly upbeat forecast. They also announced plans to step up their buyback. So really significant outperformance. Macy's, talk about outperformance, 11%. Or Caroline Hyde talking with the company's CEO.
And Caroline, too, yeah.
Caroline. All right. God, you're hard on me. Jumping, also talking about profits topping expectations, a strong full-year outlook, 11% to the upside. And Dexcom, I have no idea exactly why this is up, but it's up about 9.5%. Top in the S&P and NASDAQ 100. Remember, this stock took a hit when Apple came out and said it's making progress on a glucose monitor for its watch. This is what Dexcom does. They are talking at a Citi Health event with the company's investor relations at Dexcom. I was looking for some things that might be a catalyst. They're just giving an update on the business. Anyway, let's keep an eye on this one maybe in the coming days to see if some news comes out.
Well, I've got the decliners for us today. I'm going to kick it off with Tesla here. Valuation erasing $50 billion after that investor day disappointed yesterday. We talked about this, that it was going to be a sell the news event, and that ended up coming true. And it was more about what they didn't say. This is what Ed Ludlow's been saying all day. Not a lot of details on new cars, targeting a 50% cost reduction in cars, but that's about it. They said that they're moving away from rare earth metals and silicon carbide chips. That news hitting miners really hard today. I want to see materials, MP materials down by a little over 10% on the close. And then Silvergate sinking 58% on the close. That is the biggest drop on record. We've been talking about this. Crypto-friendly bank raising concerns about its viability. more fears of contagion here following the collapse of FTX. The bank is really struggling. Crypto-friendly banks still struggling at this time.
Let's get a quick check on the yield space, Carol. You were just talking about those comments out of Romaine Bostick at the Atlanta Fed, which may have been the pivot point for this market to move higher. But we started the day here with the big surge on the longer end of the curve, that 30-year yield getting above 4% for the first time since November. Still up about 5 basis points, still above 4%, as are the other major parts of the yield curve here. The 20-year yield at 4.3, the 10-year yield still at 4.06 here, and that 2-year yield still making a run towards 4.9. We're up about across the board here, and I guess it could have been worse. We get to this idea here is the market paying more attention to the earnings, more attention to the micro guys, or is it really about what the Fed is going to do, and more importantly, when they actually stop doing it?
A little bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we see from day to day. I mean, the Fed is data dependent, got that, but I feel like investors are data dependent, whether it's earnings, what the Fed is saying, whether it's economic news, Scarlett. We really trade from one thing to the next.
Right, and since we're at the tail end of earnings season, there are a couple of earnings we're still awaiting right now. People are really going to fixate on any catalyst that they can get their hands on. And for now, it's very much focused on all the macro data. The jobless claims being a perfect example today.
Scarlett, you love Fed speak. Chris Waller, a Fed governor, coming out, prepared remarks that he's set to give here, basically saying that the Fed must remain data dependent, but he also says if the data comes in hot, we need to raise rates even
So
more.
what did we learn from that?
But that's data dependent.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends on what kind of mood the market is in at any given point. That could be read as hawkish or it could be read as dovish.
But it's interesting to think about this in comparison to the comments that we got from Bostick earlier today. I wonder which of these people are going to cling on to a little bit more.
I think the tough thing is, listen, inflation is definitely down from where we were a year ago, but we've heard a lot of people talk about it. It's really sticky, obviously, and it's just taking longer for this last portion to come down. And the other thing is, does it ultimately come down to that target of 2%?
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't.
Is that elusive and we'll be forever stuck in this 3, 4, 5% range?
All right, guys, you want to talk about HPE?
Go ahead. You want to do HPE? Go ahead, Carol Massar.
I would love to do it. HPE Enterprises, let's get right to the outlook because we care a lot about that. Sees second quarter net revenue $7.1 billion to $7.5 billion. That looks like it is above the forecast of $7.05 billion. If we take a step back at the first quarter, adjusted EPS 63 versus 54, the estimate, that's a beat. First quarter net revenue $7.81 billion, Scarlett. That too is a beat. The street was looking for $7.41 billion, and also making an acquisition. This is a company that has been acquiring companies. That's what it does.
Okay, and we also have earnings coming out of Dell. I was looking at HPE as well, but let's go to Dell first. Dell, of course, the PC maker, reporting fourth quarter adjusted net revenue of $25 billion, better than expected. Analysts were looking for 23.4, and fourth quarter adjusted EPS of $1.80, also higher than what was anticipated, which was $1.64. In addition, there's the returning cash to shareholders. We returned approximately $3.8 billion of capital. We're increasing our dividend, our annual dividend, by 12% as well in fiscal year 2024.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too, and I do want to go back to HPE and the purchase of Axis Security. They're not saying terms here, but I think the idea that they're pushing further into that cloud space, Axis, of course, a cloud security company, but the idea that they're pushing deeper into that space and doing it through acquisitions, I think it's kind of interesting to see I guess not necessarily the pivot, but I guess the strategy that Antonio Neri has been taking at that company.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting across the terminal HPE to acquire Axis Security and sees that deal closing by the end of the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, this is a company that is going through a transition and, looking for some of the specific breakouts because this is a company, their intelligent edge revenue. This is something that is part of the company's transformation, and perhaps this acquisition plays into it. So we'll look for some more color about the business and the outlook going forward.
All right, and just go back to VMware here. They're crossing the wire here. Adjusted EPS is coming in slightly higher than what the street was looking for, $2.13 versus street estimate of $1.94. Revenue also up about 5% on the year, coming in just a smidge above the street estimates, $3.71 billion. Street was looking for about $3.63.
Yeah, I'm still looking at Dell here, just looking at the stock jumping in post-trading here, 8% after the quarterly results beat. I'm still trying to get a sense of what the outlook is here, and I'm not seeing it. So this just seems to be a knee-jerk reaction to that better than expected fourth quarter number.
Yeah, and Dell Technologies, again, jumping 8% after that quarterly results beat there, Scarlett. So really interesting to watch that the market is enjoying that a little bit after the close, but I guess we're going to have to see. Their shares are up 0.5% year to date as well.
Yeah, I want some more color on Dell because I thought we were all cutting back.
Right.
We bought all our stuff during the pandemic, right?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Is it breaking down already?
I don't know. So we'll look for some more information, but it is still up about 6.3% in the after hours. We are seeing HPE going, though, in the other direction, that stock. Actually, now it's up about 2.4%, so kicking around to the upside, at least at this hour. All right, guys, some earnings, wrapping up kind of the tail end, if you will. That's a wrap, though, for our cross-platform coverage, radio, TV, YouTube, and Bloomberg Originals. We will see you again, same time, same place tomorrow.